Joining us now, White House Communications Director Alyssa Farah. Alyssa, good morning to you. In fact, Tony Bobulinski said in that interview he felt like standing up and shouting liar at the debate because he felt so strongly what Joe Biden was saying was a lie. But Ted Cruz making it very clear he does not think this is going to change any minds or sway any votes in favor of Donald Trump. He wishes that we would have a more unifying message. Is he right? Is that a message that perhaps the president is receiving 6 days out from Election Day?
Well, listen, I have tremendous respect for Senator Cruz, a big friend of the administration. But what I thought was interesting, Morning Consult had a poll this morning that showed that 51% of Americans were familiar with the Hunter Biden allegations. So this is breaking through, even though the mainstream media has largely, with the exception of Fox News, refused to cover it. But listen, this isn't the president's closing argument by any means. What he's talking about is the Trump recovery, the economic recovery we're going to get at the back end of this pandemic. This is an important point, though, from our perspective. Joe Biden is a career politician who came into office maybe as a public servant then, but then left as a millionaire, having created no jobs other than government jobs. President Trump, on the flip side, of course, came in a very successful businessman, actually sacrificed some aspects of his business to serve for free the American people because he loves this country. It's a very stark contrast.
Alyssa, you mentioned the president's accomplishments, and the White House Science Office is taking credit now for ending the pandemic. As we know, infections are mounting in states like Wisconsin, where they're seeing a 7-day rolling average positivity rate that is in upwards of 24%. Almost 1 in 4 people who get tested are testing positive in that state. This is the White House press release. Ending the COVID-19 pandemic from the outset. COVID-19 of the pandemic, the administration has taken decisive actions to engage scientists and health professionals in academia, industry, and government to understand, treat, and defeat the disease. Does the White House, the president, believe that the virus has been defeated?
No, absolutely not. I think that was poorly worded. The intent was to say that it is our goal to end the virus. But what I would say is this: because of the president's leadership, we are rounding the corner on the virus. We are rushing therapeutics. We've now got some positive announcements coming soon, but we've got remdesivir on the market that people are able to use. We've got monoclonal antibodies. We've got steroids that are able to be used to treat the most vulnerable. We have massive testing and the ability to isolate cases. We are in the best position to date to treat the virus than we have been at any previous time. But to your point, cases are still rising, and we need the American public to remain vigilant. This is the top priority of the president's, defeating this virus and rebuilding our economy. But we are rounding the corner because we think that we will have a vaccine by the end of the year. And because of the president's leadership, we expect that we'll be able to massively deploy that on a large scale to as many as 100 million Americans by the end of the year.
It's a stark contrast to the president hitting the campaign trail, 2 different stops in Arizona today. Joe Biden staying home, delivering his message on health care from his home. The campaign says this is due to the pandemic, and they don't want people to congregate. They don't want to risk safety. They said it's due to the science. Alyssa, that stark contrast, is it a worry for the president? I know you're speaking from the White House, not the campaign, but is it a worry that that messaging, that you're using the same words and appear to be doubling down on the president's message of rounding the corner, when not just states like Wisconsin, but Nebraska as well are facing a serious rise in positivity rates? And of course, I know you point to the death toll and the percentage of those that die from the virus is very, very slim. But still, isn't the concern that hospitals could get inundated if you still have a rise in positive cases like that?
Well, absolutely, but we've structured our response effort since February so that we are working with every county and state to monitor hospital capacity. What I think is interesting, Joe Biden's laid out a vision for how he would deal with the COVID pandemic, yet everything listed other than a nationwide mask mandate and additional lockdowns, President Trump has already done. He says he would appoint a military commander to deal with getting PPE to hospitals in need, to monitor hospital capacity so we don't surge. He exists. Admiral Polivchuk has been doing this since January, in fact. We are ready to deal with cases if they arise. We will not have hospitals overflowing. And if there is a need to surge medical capacity or even military doctors, we've done that. We have the muscle memory and we'll be prepared to do it. Okay. But as I said, we have a vaccine coming soon.
Okay, so you chalked that White House press release on the president ending the pandemic to poor choice of words. I want to move on to the violence and unrest that we saw in Philadelphia overnight, a really serious situation there. Police saying 1,000 looters ransacking stores there, walking out with full appliances. A reporter was attacked, of course, after the police shooting of a black man. Their 27-year-old black man, Walter Wallace Jr. Part of that was caught on video. Has the president spoken to the governor there today?
The White House has been in contact with the governor's office. We are monitoring the situation. We're prepared to make resources available if necessary. Governor Wolf did call up the state National Guard, which we think was a wise decision to do, just to quell this unrest. You know, I would say anytime there's a loss of life, it's a tragedy, but what we can't see is lawlessness in our streets, and now 30 police officers injured in the aftermath of this. It's very concerning. We want to see our cities safe. If necessary, we're prepared to deploy federal assets, but at this point, we feel like the governor's decisions with the National Guard should help quell this unrest.
We know that the police and city officials issued statements immediately following that man's death. There's an investigation underway. The Biden-Harris campaign on the Philly violence put out this statement saying, quote, "We cannot accept that in this country a mental health crisis ends in death." As that situation is looked further into, what is the president specifically saying about that?
We're going to let the facts of the case play out. There's an investigation going on at the state level into this. If it warrants rising to the federal level, that's certainly something we would look at. Again, any loss of life is a tragedy, but you also can't have people using, using deadly weapons against police officers or refusing to drop them. So we're going to let the facts play out and not prejudge them.
Alyssa, how's the president feeling 6 days out from Election Day?
He's energized. He's thrilled. He's doing as many as 5 rallies a day. You can't stop President Trump. He's excited to be with real Americans. I think he gets energy when he's in real America, not trapped in Washington, D.C. So we're feeling good.
We've got 2 stops for the president in Arizona today. Anything else on the agenda popping up?
He'll be heading to Florida after that. Florida, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. We're going to be all over the country making his case to the American people.
All right, Alyssa Farah, always appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.